Okay, now that we've processed a couple items, if we go back into the PO, I want to just point out that the workflow template now cannot be changed. The service fee template cannot be changed. You can change the default erasure method, but the other ones, they're locked down because we've already began to process and move some of the items from one to another. Another thing that you'll notice is that if we go to this item summary page, you'll notice that we have these items grouped together, and you can see everything that is and was on the PO. So first thing we see is our pallet, right, that was removed. So like I said before, nothing is ever erased from the database, it just gets moved. You also see that we've got the elite desk, so this is a separate row because it has a different part number. And then we have 9 and 1. So even within items that have the same part number, this screen will separate either based on different condition codes, availability status or receive status, or even having different attributes. So as we're setting up these attributes, this is what would happen if we mark them as a value attribute. They will actually separate them on this screen, which is nice if you ever need to go back and maybe reprice these things. If you've purchased a lot of goods and you're processing them, and then you want to move, like for example, if I paid $10,000 for this pallet, once I have received, identified, audited, tested, and refurbished all the goods, now it's going to separate them into my grading and into the configuration. So if I wanted, I could then move the $10,000 or euros or pounds around on the items after they've been fully cataloged and I know what I have. Or if you've bought something and they didn't show up, then they would show that they're still in transit. If you've bought something and they're in a different condition code and you need to settle up, you could call up your vendor and say, hey, this isn't what you said it was. Some of these things were maybe grade C instead of grade A, or what it might be. And then as you make changes in here, this actually does update the bills and invoices, actually the bills. So if you need to send a different payment over, you can do that too. A word about supplier margin. I did add some parts to some of the items. If you do add parts or labor to the items, that gets added to the cost of goods, which means that if you are doing a 50% split on margin, it will be calculated after your cost of goods is completely added up. So if you've put fees, touch fees, erasure fees, and you're eating those costs maybe, or if you're adding parts in there that cost you money, you will get compensated for your material and for your time or your labor before it calculates the margin split. So you get paid before they do. Okay. All right. Otherwise, once you're done, all you simply need to do is click a service button here. I still have items that are in as is condition, so I can't exactly go through and create it yet. But once I'm done with all of them, I can create a service invoice, and it tallies up all of these little fees that have been generated along the way and creates one services invoice for the entire PO that encompasses every service fee for every item, whether it be from a condition or from an attribute. All right, thank you. Thanks for looking at IQ Reseller.